Folks, welcome to the, I'm getting feedback. Hang on just a second. Let's get out of this. Okay, how's that better? We all set? Can you hear me?
Yep, sounds good now.
Okay. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the March 8th, 2021 meeting of the Goffstown Select Board. This meeting is being held remotely via the Microsoft Teams platform. I have a few announcements to read before we get started. Relative to the Right to Know meeting checklist. Call the meeting to order. As chair of the Goffstown Select Board, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with the Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's Emergency Order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are doing several things. A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The town is utilizing the Microsoft Teams platform for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number, 603-766-5646, and using the participation code 785-645 followed by the pound sign. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public as to how to access the meeting using the available telephone number with the posted agenda. Item C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem with telephone access, please call 603-384-3624 for assistance. And D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call votes. So let's start the meeting by taking a roll call of attendance. When I call your name, if each member would state their presence and also state whether there is anyone else in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the Right to Know law. My name is Collis Adams. There is no one else present with me in the room tonight. Kelly?
Kelly Boyer, no one in the room with me.
Peter?
Peter Georgiantis, no one in the room with me.
Thank you. Mark?
Mark LeMay, nobody in the room with me.
And Chet?
Chet Bowen, no one in the room with me.
Thank you. Next on the agenda are the announcements. I have a few announcements to make this evening.
Call us to Pledge Allegiance.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
How can we forget that? Thank you. Yeah, I'll start the Pledge Allegiance. You can join me if you would, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Derek, I don't have the agenda in front of me, so if I get sidetracked, please bring me back on track if you would.
Okay.
So next, I believe, are the announcements. And I have several announcements to make. Let's see. First is the town election poll hours. Can you read that for me, Derek? I don't see that in my agenda.
Okay, it's on tab 3 of your packet, but I'd be happy to read it for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a reminder, tomorrow, Tuesday, March 9th, is voting day for the town and school district. The polls at Goffstown High School and Bartlett Elementary School will open at 7 a.m. and they will close at 7 p.m. The town's website has a lot of great information about the items on the ballots tomorrow. It includes sample ballots for the town and school district, the 2021 Voters Guide with information about the individual warrant articles. There's also town budget information there. And to get there, you can go to www.goffstown.com/vote, or you can just go on goffstown.com and hit the vote election button on the homepage.
Thank you, Derek. And could you also roll right into the road closing
Yes,
announcement?
yes, this is a spring posting of roads for weight restrictions. The following roads in Goffstown, New Hampshire will be posted effective March 9th, 2021 for the posted weight limit during the spring thaw. The paved roads include Shirley Hill Road, Langen Drive, Duclos Street, Eden Street from Duclos Street to Warren Ave, Range Road, and East Union Street from Main Street to Prospect Avenue. Gravel roads include Arrowhead Drive, Bryan Road, Dumont Park Road, Fersen Road, Joppa Hill Road, and Summit Road. The town of Goffstown employs weight restrictions during the spring thaw period to prevent roadway damage and to protect the large infrastructure investment the town has made. Waivers will be issued by DPW on an emergency basis only as conditions allow. Please visit the town's website for additional road posting information and updates. www.goffstown.com under streets and drains.
Thank you, Derek. And we have an announcement about the EDC-sponsored restaurant bingo program. Chet, could you address that one for us, please?
Yes, I can, Mr. Chair. The Goffstown Economic Development Council is sponsoring Goffstown Restaurant Bingo from March 7th through April 30th. This is a townwide promotion to help our restaurants stay viable through the winter and spring season of the pandemic. Patrons are eligible to win prizes when they achieve bingo on their game card by purchasing food for takeout or on-site dining. Purchases of $10 minimum on takeout, dine-in, gift card, or merchandise earn 1 stamp per visit at participating restaurants, which there are many. Prizes will be drawn at random from eligible entries every week during the promotion period. The grand prize winner, at the conclusion of the game, there will be a grand prize winner. Prizes will consist of gift cards to local businesses. For full details and rules, printable bingo cards, and a list of participating restaurants, you can go to the town's website, and you can see all of that through the town's Facebook account as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chet. I do have one further announcement, but it is 6:10, which is the time for a public comment. So I'm going to pause right here, Derek, if I could, to see if there's anyone out there who would like to make public comment at this time.
Mr. Chair, there is nobody on the telephone line for public comment.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Okay, I have one last announcement, if I might, please. I want to take this opportunity to recognize one of our own from the Goffstown Select Board, and I want to say thank you to Kelly Boyer at this point. And I'd like to say that on behalf of the entire Select Board and the entire Goffstown community, I want to say thank you to you, Vice Chair Kelly Boyer. This is your last meeting this evening. I also want to acknowledge your hard work during your 3-year term. Kelly served as the board representative to negotiate the collective bargaining agreements with the DPW Teamsters in 2018 and the dispatchers last year, which will be voted upon tomorrow. Her background in human resources was invaluable as the board reviewed our personnel plan and benefit offerings. She supported the employee education series on health insurance benefits in 2019 in an effort to keep insurance premiums low. Kelly was a driving force behind the town successfully applying for an AmeriCorps Vista grant to work with the town departments and community organizations to study programming and services for senior residents. Kelly also served as the select board rep on the fire department's 24/7 study committee, which led to the successful 6-month trial period and the select board's adoption of a 24/7 schedule in June of 2020. Kelly was an active member of the select board that hired a new fire chief, a new police chief, and a new DPW director in 2019. Over the past year, she has been actively involved with the select board's oversight of the town's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Kelly, my daughter's name was Kelsey. Kelly, like all board members, has dedicated countless hours serving as a select board rep on numerous committees and boards. The entire select board would like to wish Kelly luck with her upcoming deployment with the New Hampshire National Guard. I want to thank both Kelly and Pam for their sacrifice to the Goffstown community over the past 3 years. Thank you so much, Kelly. I'll never forget the time I first met you during a wicked snowstorm. I think it was 3 years ago, as we were standing out there in a blizzard, campaigning together and trying to stay warm, sharing hot chocolate and coffee, and just trying to support each other through what was a long and grueling day. And I always remember, Kelly, your willingness to engage and become part of the team, and I really appreciate that as a personal note for myself. So, Kelly, thank you for everything you've done.
Thanks so much, you guys. That was really unexpected, and I am certainly feeling a bit nostalgic knowing it's my last meeting for a little while. And I'm quite jealous that Mark will be standing outside tomorrow in 50-degree weather. But I'm really excited for the next year, and I'm excited to see what you all do in 2021. And hopefully when I get back, we'll have lots to chat about. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you, all of our department heads and our staff. And I feel very thankful that I got to be part of this team for the past 3 years.
Certainly, Kelly. Thank you, and best of luck from all your future endeavors. Any
Thank
other
you.
board members want to share a sentiment at this time?
I would kind of like to say a little bit of a sentiment. To say it wasn't a great beginning, but I've now, over the last 3 years, have developed a really good friendship and a really good friend with Kelly and her wife Pam, and it's a pleasure. And we're going to see her back next year. So good luck this year. We'll see you next year.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Kelly, I will also echo what Peter and Collis have said. Yes, it was a pretty cold day that day when we were standing out there, and we had about a foot of snow on the ground by the time we were done. I don't know who was wetter or who was colder, whether it was Collis, me, or you, but we had a good time. And like I say, the relationship and the work that we've done together, I was proud to have you on our team, to be part of it. And yes, in closing, I will say God bless, stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you when you come back.
Thanks, Mark.
Kelly, I'd like to just say thank you for a lot of things, but number one, me being new to the select board when I first started, you helping me get settled in and teaching me how things work and some of the responsibilities that are needed. And then, unfortunately, having to remind me numerous times about signatures that I missed. So I really appreciate all of your help in the beginning, and certainly all your help over the past 3 years. And I think it's really great what Collis just announced about some of your accomplishments. It's very impressive, and we'll miss you.
Thanks, Chad.
Kelly, I think you can tell from the sentiments that were just shared here that you're a valued member, and we really appreciated everything you did for the town. And again, we wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. Take care.
Thanks, Collis. You have to hang out with me for the rest of the meeting, though.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to the agenda. We're at the town administrator's report. Derek.
Thank you. At tab number 5 of your packet, you have your committee meeting schedule for the next 2 weeks. Again, town election day is tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I've already communicated with all the members about which locations you'll be available at. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. On Wednesday, the highway safety.
Derek, could
Yes.
Could you summarize where each of the select board members are going to be at which polling place?
Yeah, thank you. We're going to have Chet and Pete over at Bartlett Elementary and Collis and Kelly at the high school.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Wednesday, the Highway Safety Committee is meeting. Please note this is a little bit of a deviation from the normal time. They're meeting at 10:30 a.m. Remotely. This is a one-time adjustment. And then I think, is that Mark, is that normally your?
Yeah, that's me. I mean, do you want me to still attend, or what do you want me to do?
If you're available, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm available.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Normally, we don't swear in new members until after the recount period, which ends Friday at 5 p.m. So I think it would be appropriate for you to still attend, and then
Okay.
if so.
Yeah, you
Yes, sir.
should attend, Mark, just to provide some continuity. As we
Yeah,
Switch over.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And then Wednesday, 6 p.m. sewers meeting remotely.
I will be there. I let Lynn know. I have another meeting across the way that ends right around 5:30, so I could be a couple minutes late, but I will be there.
Okay, thank you. Wednesday of next week, we have the library trustees. Normally Kelly would have attended that meeting, and we will not have a select board meeting next week. So I do need a volunteer to take that. Chet? Thank you. I'll communicate that to Diane so that you get all the meeting information. And then Wednesday of next week at 7 p.m., Parks and Rec is meeting remote.
Yep, I have that.
And then Thursday, 6:30 p.m., the Ad hoc Bridge Committee is meeting remote.
And I have that covered as well.
Thank you. I'm just getting a note here. I don't believe you did the approval of minutes.
Oh,
Danielle reminded me that that got skipped over.
Very good, thank you. Let's see, let me get back up to the top here. Which minutes are they? Okay, so we need to approve the minutes from the February 22nd, 2021. We have both public and non-public minutes.
I'll make the motion. We accept and corrections of minutes for 2/22/21 public and non-public minutes.
Second,
Thank you, Mark. Seconded by Peter. Any discussion? I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly,
Yes.
Peter,
yes.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
Chet.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0-0.
Thank you. At your next page, you have the consent agenda. You have employee status reports for police officer new hire, another police officer new hire, EMT new hire, as well as a dispatcher resignation. And then this afternoon, we did receive 3 new employee status reports. One is for a resignation of a full-time truck driver over at DPW. One is a resignation of a seasonal laborer at DPW. And one is a resignation of a seasonal truck driver at DPW.
Motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you,
Second.
Peter. And a second by Mark, was that, I believe?
Chet.
Chet, thank you, Chet. Any
What-
discussion on the motion?
Yes, there is. I have one item that I'd like to discuss, and we've discussed this before, is I think we need to somehow get exit interviews. And I would make the motion that we have Danielle do exit interviews on these folks.
Thanks, Pete. I was going to bring that up as well. I'll second your motion.
Okay, thank you. Motion was made by Peter and seconded by Kelly to conduct exit interviews. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
and Chet.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0-0.
Mr. Chair, can I ask an additional question?
Certainly.
Thank you. I know we had talked in the past about writing up a process and procedure for exit interview. Maybe with that motion, that could kind of kickstart that process with Danielle about, standardizing questions, how to share results with the board, things of that nature. It's kind of been put on the wayside due to a lot of things this year, but I think that would be a good opportunity to circle back to that.
Yeah, I agree, Kelly. Thank you much. Derek and Danielle, can you take it and move that forward for us, please?
Yeah, we can develop a process. I will say that this, if you were going to assign it to one person, or if Danielle were going to take it, this is an additional task that traditionally has not been done, but we will make sure it happens in this instance.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, can I just add to that? Derek, I think it would be appropriate to talk about the options for how those would be conducted. Maybe it's a different department head that does it for some, I don't know, something. But just for continuity and time purposes to have Danielle do it. But I personally am not in favor of having her do it for everybody all the time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So at your next page, you have assessors recommendations. These are all recommended. You have a tax abatement for 2020 town-owned property, map 7, lot 71-5-3, and map 5, lot 24-1-3. You also have a current use application for map 5, lot 95-1.
Derek? Sorry.
Yeah, need a motion, please?
Go ahead, Mark.
I'll make a motion to approve the assessors recommendations as presented.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Thank you, Mark, and was seconded by Peter. Is there any discussion? I thought I heard somebody wanted to weigh in on this. No. Okay, hearing none. I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
and Chet.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0-0. All right, let's see. Next is the select board discussion on the personnel plan. Derek, do you want to lead the discussion here on this? Please?
Sure. So at the meeting in February, the board discussed an employee survey. And then in between those meetings, Kelly had a handful of questions. You'll see the questions in your packet under the survey process background, as well as the answers. I think there's really 3 ways we could do this employee survey if the board wants to continue down this path. One would be to use a product like SurveyMonkey, which we do have a paid subscription to that we could use. We can also develop an internal website for town employees through SharePoint, or we could simply do a paper survey. But specifically, the board members on Friday, I did send out a revised employee survey to all the board members. Department heads have seen that as well, and they have had an opportunity. They have provided feedback on some of the questions as well as some of the process on how we can handle that. But the thought would be to survey non-union employees, give them about approximately 1 month to complete the survey. This would be to get feedback on the town's leave policies, specifically vacation leave, sick leave, as well as how some of the different departments, we have some different holiday schedules and personal leave to get some feedback before the board considers any changes or making any adjustments to the personnel plan.
Okay, thanks, Derek. So there's been opportunity for folks to comment on the survey. So Derek, I'm thinking we need to set a hard date for finalizing comments on the survey so that we can finalize that survey and get it deployed.
Yes.
And what would you recommend?
I think, we can deploy it. The one item is the SharePoint internal website. We can develop an internal website with the new setup that we have with Microsoft, but that will take a little bit of time for IT to develop and deploy. That might cause a little bit of a delay. If we simply use a SurveyMonkey tool, that's much simpler to deploy. It's hard to ensure that you only get 1 answer per employee, but I don't foresee that being an issue.
Derek, I also saw in the revision that you had included, the first question was, which department are you a part of? So I think that's a great way to go.
Comments from other board members?
Yeah, I don't agree with that, Kelly. And the only reason why is some of the departments don't have a lot of people in it, and you'd be able to identify somebody that not necessarily agrees with our policies or comments on something. I think it's better off if you don't have people able to be identified, because we may not be.
Pete,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know if you saw what Derek had mapped out, but he put the 3 smaller non-union employee departments together, which just kind of gives us a baseline. So really, I mean, even if one person filled it out, how would you pick out who that is? If you
Okay,
don't
but
know.
why wouldn't we just, is there, Derek, a way to be
Anonymous?
traced, anonymous through the Survey Monkey, or are we better off just doing paper?
I think you would have more anonymity if you did it through SurveyMonkey. The reason we did ask the question about which department, because many of the questions deal with holiday schedules, and the holiday schedules for a town hall is much different than for one of the 24/7 departments and how it impacts them. There was also questions about simple questions of, do you understand your department's process for requesting vacation? Can you suggest any improvements to that? So, we did want to, break that down a little bit. That definitely, if it's the board's preference, we can pull that out, but I don't think that would be identifiable of who's answering the survey.
I don't have a problem with it as long as we make sure it's not identifiable who's answering the survey, that's all.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure it's anonymous,
yeah, I
because
agree with you.
that's the only way you get a true answer from something, if they know it's anonymous.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pete, but I also think we ought to take advantage of the available technologies to
Yeah.
Survey Monkey and just do it in a way so that it remains anonymous.
I agree with that as well.
Any other
So
comments?
do we recommend, Derek, a hard date of 2 weeks?
I would say no less than 2 weeks. I would say it might be preferable, especially you've got a new, at least one new board member coming on that's going to have to get caught up. So I don't know that there's a rush, but I think if you give employees 4 weeks and then give them a reminder at 2 weeks out and 1 week out, the board at that point gets their feedback, a month later, has some time to process it. In the meantime, we can work and develop. I had suggested that you do 2 additional surveys. One would be about educational training program, tuition reimbursement, on-the-job training, and employee development. And then a third survey to talk about any feedback on remote work policies, town-provided cell phones versus cell phone stipends, and any technological questionnaires.
My 2 week was, that's when it would roll out, and then you would start your 4-week process.
Oh, I understand.
Collis's question was, when do we want to have a hard date to start it? And I think it would take 2 weeks to put it all together and have it the way we want.
Yeah, with town meeting and everything, I think it would be
Yeah.
safe to say that at the end of next week, we could have it deployed.
Okay.
Yep, let's do that, Derek.
Mr. Chair, I have a
Yes.
couple other things.
Yes, Kelly.
Also, Derek, I just want to thank you for laying this out very thoughtfully with all of the questions that I had. But number 4, how will we ensure that the employees complete the survey? I think Derek just outlined the reminder process, and that's on the second page of this.
Right.
He just mentioned the reminder process, but we'll also need the department heads to also really push that and be on board, just so we have quantifiable data that we can actually use, and also making sure that they give employees time to use a computer if they don't readily have access to a computer. But the one thing I wanted to mention about number 4 is that second bullet point, it says the select board's feedback was that the employees should have a say in any P plan changes. And I think we need to be very careful about how we communicate that to the employees. And in my opinion, this tool is to be used as guidance for, what decisions the select board makes in the future is, in regards to all of these policies and procedures, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to dictate the way the changes are being made, because there's so many other factors. And I just don't want it to be communicated to employees like, whoever wins the poll gets the P plan created that way. You know what I mean? I just would hope that we could be a little bit more clear with the language and what the intent of this survey is.
And I think we tried to be a little bit more clear in the actual survey, ending with, please note the results of this survey will be used to facilitate discussion and are not a guarantee of any particular changes to the current benefit structure. So yes, we will definitely be more clear in our messaging when we send out the link, as well as the messaging in the cover page of the survey.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I did see that, and I think it's important that we emphasize how much we truly want their feedback, but just want to make that abundantly clear that it's a tool and not a decision-making response type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kelly. The way it reads, it sounds like they have a direct input as to way this is going to go. I mean, we certainly welcome their input and whatnot, but I don't want to give them the impression that they're directing how the P plan's going to be changed or modified.
Yeah. Just one more thing that I wanted to bring up in regards to this survey. As tonight's my last meeting, I'm gonna enlist all of you to think about this, but I would really like, after we get the results, for the select board to kind of come up with a timeline for when some of these changes can be discussed and or implemented, because I do think it's really important, if we're asking the employees for their input, that we make some sort of decision and changes and don't kind of let this float on, so that they have faith that we're going to take the input and look at everything and actually make some valuable changes. So that's more of a statement than a question, but I hope we can put some timelines on this stuff and actually get it done for our employees this year.
Great, Derek, does that give you enough direction as to the format and providing reminders and the timeline?
Yes, it does. I think we can provide the board with a timeline for the rest of the year. Once we go through our formation meeting at your next meeting, I think we can develop that. I would just ask that the board vote if you want us to release the survey and move forward with that. I would ask for that.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Kelly. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Chet. Any discussion on the motion or input from board members? All right, hearing none, I'll call the roll. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0-0. Let's see, now we're down to the action matrix. Let's see, change of personnel plan and communication strategy. That's a work in progress still, I assume, Derek. Obviously, we just talked about some of it.
Excuse me, Collis.
Yep.
On the agenda, it has department head updates. Are we going to do that?
Yep. I got to roll back up to the top of my screen here. Thanks, Pete, for bringing that to my attention. Yeah.
The department heads are online. That's why I asked that.
Yeah, great, understood. Okay, yeah, so department updates. Let's start with fire and emergency services. Chief Allard.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd kind of like to echo some of the comments the board made earlier. On behalf of the men and women of the Goffstown Fire Department, certainly like to wish Selectwoman Boyer the best of luck with their next adventure. It's been great working with you. Going back to our COVID information, we've certainly been tracking that, continue to track it daily. At this time, the state's had a total of 77,000 cases, right around that number. There is some good news. Goffstown currently has 41 active cases, which is down significantly over the last month. The 7-day average for COVID numbers across the state is certainly decreasing. It's not quite as low as last summer, but we're getting there. It seems like a lot of the population is getting vaccinated. Almost 18% have received one dose, and there's nearly 8% that are fully vaccinated now. So that's great news. I think that's going to help our numbers continue to head in the right direction. From the fire department side, we are all the members are currently healthy. We did have a small fire in town last week. We did have a great quick response and able to extinguish the fire rapidly. There were no firefighters or civilians injured during that fire. And lastly, I just want to make the board aware that the fire department is currently working with the SAU on a vaccination plan for the teachers. Still very early on, but we are starting conversations on that. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions for Chief Alley?
Yeah, I have a question. Chief, did we have to participate in the recovery of the body in the river?
The fire department, I'll speak just from the fire department side. So we were called to the scene the Thursday evening to assist in a search with Goffstown Police. We left the scene and then were called back a second time. By that time, Fish and Game had gotten there. And then on Friday, the fire department did not participate in the recovery.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we did offer and they declined.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
Chief Serino from Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to echo as well as the others on behalf of the men and women of the Goffstown Police Department. We all like to say thank you and best of luck to you, Selectwoman Boyer. Thank you very much for all you've done for our community. And thank you for joining the greatest military in the world. So I really appreciate that from me to you. Thank you for doing that. Second,
Thank you, Chief.
everybody at the PD, you're welcome. Everybody at the PD is healthy and doing well, still working on those second doses. And everything else as far as in town and the operations are still status quo. And to help give a little bit of light onto what happened, to help answer some of those questions, Selectman Georgianis, we were there Thursday night. Our officers were the ones that actually saw the hole in the water at nighttime, was able to get the fire department out there, which helped us identify that hole was there and the ATV was in the water. Fish and Game then takes jurisdiction over that. And we maintain that scene all the way into Friday with a couple personnel. But they're the ones that ultimately take full responsibility, jurisdiction, and recover the body.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's pretty much it as far as PD is concerned this week.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Any questions for Chief?
Any COVID problems?
As far as personnel,
Yes.
we are all healthy at this point.
Good news. Anybody else for Chief Serino? Okay, how about DPW Director Jacobs?
Folks, good evening. I'd also like to share my congratulations to Selectwoman Boyer for every chapter of her life. I enjoyed working with you when I was at Town Hall and hired me back W as part of the 2019 hiring seal of good luck. Good things coming together.
Thanks, Adam.
For DPW, we are in the middle of our fuel tank project on the transfer station. So the train came in and pulled the roof of the building off last week. The fuel company had done some preliminary work on the alarm, the high and low level alarm. Added some of the, make it a little bit more of a hardy structure, less susceptible to leaks and spills. So they did some prep work. The crane came and lifted the concrete precast roof off the building. And connections to the tank tops are really close to the top of the ceiling, so they're not big enough for a. So the roof is off. The inspections were completed today. The tanks are passed. Exhale moment. I was waiting to hear the news there. If they had failed, we'd have a bigger project on our hands, and we did pass. So right now we're a few more little things to wrap up, and then effort in getting the back on that building this week and get the project buttoned up. As Derek mentioned earlier, we did have a couple of our seasonals wrap up. Seasonals that we were lucky enough to get in got really well this year, so we something we look at years ahead if we find ourselves coming into the season short-handed. They worked out well, and the good news with them going back is that one of them works full-time for Pike Industries, so he had to get called back short notice from Pike, which means the paving plants will be opening soon. So we'll take the good news with the bad, losing that employee impact. And then finally, I did get some news that we've got the 2 trucks that we ordered last year are finally to the top of the list for the upfitters. So we've got a 6-wheel dump truck and a F550 dump truck that are plows and spreaders hopefully mounted here, and we should get those delivered. So takes a long process from town meeting last year to actual delivery here, probably right after town meeting this year, but we're getting close. So then it'll just start the process over again with the 2021 vehicles, hopefully, if we get the budget passage. Thanks again, and have a good night. Unless you have any questions, sorry.
Thanks, Adam. Any questions from the board for Adam?
I got a question, Collis.
Sure, go ahead, Mark.
So Adam, the last snowstorm I saw a red Ford F-250 with a plow on it. What's up with that?
So that's that was the vehicle. I think Chief Ellard had an item a couple weeks back. That was the transfer that came over to DPW.
Yep.
The outgoing pickup truck from the transfer station will be coming up on auction here shortly. The one that it replaces.
So that truck basically is just a fill-in until we get the other trucks all back and ready to go, correct?
So the 250 will be a permanent fixture. So that takes the place of the Ford Ranger that we have at the transfer station. That's the truck that typically goes out, barrel deliveries, fixes any roadside trash that we pick up, that kind of stuff. So we have the former Dare truck. We've had that for a number of years, but getting a little long in the tooth, and that truck from fire probably has a couple years left. So we're gonna do the car shuffle here and send the Ranger down the road.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sir,
Thanks, Mark. Any other board members for Adam?
I think I saw Peter. He might be muted though.
Okay, thank you. Let's
I'm
move on.
sorry. Yeah, I happened to notice today that, or yesterday maybe, no, it was today, that our town engineer was recognized in the Women in Construction Week, which is this week.
She is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. International Women's Day, or Women's Week. Sorry. She does. I'll try to post it on our social media. I couldn't find a good share link, but yeah, she had a nice little write up for the Women in Construction Week, and absolutely, Sarah does a great job for us. And be remiss if I didn't mention our other two great women at DPW, Kara and Ann, both administrative assistant and the garage secretary. They do a great job and certainly keep the rest of us within the painted line, so to speak, and keep things moving. So you'll find out real quick. If I go on vacation, not much changes. If Kara goes on vacation, everything comes to a grinding halt.
Well, that's great. That's well-deserved recognition. Thank you for sharing that. Anything else for Adam?
Good.
Okay, how about Parks and Rec? Rick, are you with us?
Rick was having trouble connecting this evening. He did say that what they're doing right now is they're planning for summer and all their staffing for the camps and the pools. So he is working on that. And I also know that they're working now with the end of basketball season and getting ready to kick into lacrosse season here.
Great, thank you for the update. How about the library? Is there anything to report from the library, Kelly, that you're aware of?
No, I do not have an update as of now. They're still offering all the same services and are posting tons of content on the website.
Okay, thank you. And Derek, how about Town Hall?
Yes, we've really been focusing on getting ready for the election tomorrow, working with town clerk's office. As many of you saw last week, we did release the annual report and put out an announcement for that. Danielle did a great job pulling that all together. It's a lot of information, a lot of work to get that pulled together. So we've been working and focusing on those items. And luckily, everybody at Town Hall still remains healthy, so that's good.
That's great. Thank you, Derek. Okay, let's see. Select board discussion. Is there any new business? I see under old business, we have the personnel plan with the draft employee survey. We already covered that. Is there any new business that board members would like to bring forward at this time? I don't see any. On the action matrix, let's see. Yeah, sorry, what do we got on the action matrix? Anything, Derek?
The one new thing that is on there, but it will be removed after this meeting, just a status update on the New Hampshire State Council of the Arts Moose Plate Grant. Yep. As you may recall, this was accepted by the board in 2020 for the restoration of hand-painted curtains at Grassmere Town Hall. Last year, we were unable to work with the restoration vendor due to COVID, but I have been in touch with them, and they are set to be here this spring and summer to proceed with that grant-funded work. So just want to provide a status update on that.
Great, thank you. Let's see, we do need to go into non-public, but before we do that, I want to ask or provide a second public comment opportunity. Derek, is there anybody there who wants to make a public comment? Now would be the time.
No, there's nobody on the line.
Okay. Before we close the public portion, anything else from board members they want to share or bring forward?
Well, we're going to talk about the town vehicles out of service.
Yep, sure.
We're getting a bigger and bigger list, and I just,
Yeah. That.
yeah. So I just thought, engine 2 on an air leak does that pretty quick thing, Chief?
Thank you for your question. So right now, they believe they narrowed it down to a bad check valve, and that will be a quick fix.
And the ambulance?
It's all set, back in service.
So we can take that off of our list?
Yes, please, and thank you.
So a couple of DPW, or actually
There's 3 of them.
3 of them.
Yep.
3 DPW vehicles.
Three.
Adam,
So 2 of those are actually those vehicles we just talked about. Sadly, timing is everything. But one, the plow frame, MDS Welding just hasn't had time to do that 550. But I do expect that to be back this week. Hopefully, we don't need to plow this week, so that'll be good. We don't have enough drivers. Right now, it would sit. So the hope is that we can get a driver to fill that seat when it does get back. The intermittent overheating issue on 363, they believe they've got that narrowed down. I think we're just waiting on a part for one of the fans for the hydraulic system. And then I don't have it right in front of me. Third one is the bell housing on the 6-wheeler. So this one was actually out of warranty, but Liberty has offered to take care of that as a warranty repair, since it's kind of a strange failure. It's just a crack of the big cast bell housing on the transmission itself. No indication leading up to, and actually wouldn't have noticed it unless we had the body up, looked at it, and one of the mechanics caught it. So no further damage anticipated there, and hopefully it's also back this week, but kind of an interesting one.
So that will be covered under, I guess, with an extended warranty of sorts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else, board members? All right. Okay, I think we're done with that. I think we need a motion to go into non-public.
I'd like to make a motion. We go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2, A, compensation, and B, hiring.
I'll second.
Thank you, Peter, and a second by Kelly to go into non-public. No discussion on that. I'm going to call a roll for that. I vote yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
And Chet?
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to exit our public portion of the meeting, go into non-public portion of the meeting. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and hope you all stay well and stay safe, and join us at our next meeting.